This is Arya, and you're listening to Rabid Courage, where we stop pretending and go straight into the heart of the matter. I was putting on an anti-aging serum this morning on my face, like I do every morning. Not lovingly, not ceremonially, just doing the thing, administratively. Half resigned, half irritated, noticing the lines around my eyes, my mouth, like I always do, noticing the places where gravity has started keeping receipts, aware that everything that I've lived shows up on my skin now, and quietly wondering whether everyone else can see it too. And as I walked past the mirror, half dressed, half foggy, not paying too much attention, you know that moment where you feel slightly ambushed by your own reflection? Like just something caught by accident, not intentionally. It's just all of a sudden it was like, oh, that's me now. Nothing dramatic, just enough to register this dissonance, this slight dissonance between the way you feel inside your head and the way you look. And inside, my desire still moves fast, electric, reckless. It still arrives as heat, that, oh, hello, that drop in the stomach, the tightening in the throat, the kind of thick feeling that means like something or someone just touched a nerve. But my body holding the desire, it's older, more exact. It has a lot more story behind it. And it's just less tolerant and less willing to gloss past things. Maybe I'm just older, less forgiving, less interested in pretending. And standing there, I realized how strange it is that nobody ever really teaches us how to live inside that gap between the wanting that hasn't aged and the body that clearly has. So that's where we're going today. Desire in an aging body. Not the Instagram version, not the wellness industry fantasy, the real thing, the contradictory, tender, feral, human experience of this, the kind that survives in your own personal history. So I'm talking about desire when the body carries that history, desire after heartbreak, illness, pregnancies, injuries, caretaking, years of self-sacrifice. And I realized, standing there, kind of annoyed at how unspectacularly human I looked in that moment in front of the mirror, that we learn viscerally that wanting is not neutral. It exposes you. So I want to talk about some of the myths we've inherited, how desire belongs to the young and restraint belongs to the old, and that attraction past a certain age is either embarrassing or miraculous. And I want to dismantle those quietly, without pretending biology doesn't exist, because it does, and without pretending meaning doesn't matter, because it does. From birth, depending on where we are born and in what culture, we are fed a lot of scripts around desire. Right now, the popular hits are, desire doesn't age, and you're the same at 50 as you were at 20. Age is just a number, sure. Tell me that when I'm competing jujitsu with a woman half my age. Same skill, same discipline, same willingness to meet the moment. But no, my knees need more negotiation. My body has a recovery curve that's very different than when it was 20. It doesn't bounce back. It recalibrates. And I feel desire is a lot like that too. It hasn't disappeared. It just no longer lies to you about the cost. I get the intention. Age is just a number. You're still sexy, empowerment for all. Okay. But my nervous system didn't get that memo. Neither did my hormones or my attachment history. Desire in my body that's lived does not feel like a recycled 20-year-old fantasy. It feels like a real negotiation with history. So when someone just says, oh, just reconnect with your inner goddess, my first instinct is like, okay, have you met the betrayals, the grief, the medications, and the caretaking and the years of self-erasure that this particular body has to negotiate with now? And we were all handed scripts about desire early on. Maybe it was that men want and women give, or good women aren't too eager or too hungry, or real men always want it, and all of these kinds of things. Or after a certain age, be grateful for whatever you get. So, your body tries to cooperate. You push yourself when you really don't want to. You go and on that date, you're like, not so crazy about. You may shut down when wanting causes problems. You perform desire to keep the peace, maybe in a relationship, or you numb it when it starts to complicate your life. Then aging shows up. Not just in the mirror, in sensation, in your body. Things change tempo. They might slow down or sharpen or go quiet in a way that scares you and go, am I still who I was? Or they may become very specific and you start to refuse generic touch or things that you used to accept. And the old script in your head says, you should want like this. You should be enjoying this. And your body says, I'm not doing this anymore. And that gap, that is where shame lives. That's where all the inadequacy and the wounding lives. Like we are not measuring up, but it's not failure. It's an update request. The origin of the word desire comes from the Latin desiderare, from the stars. Originally, it wasn't about sex or beauty or worth. It meant longing, that ache, that beautiful pull towards something meaningful that isn't quite yet fully present yet. Desire, in a sense, is information on what we most would love to embody or possess. And somewhere along the way, historically, we've reduced it to aesthetics and performance. Something you're rewarded for if you look the right age, or something you're expected to soften or apologize for if you don't. But desire is not a thought. It's actually a nervous system event, like many things that we live. And we can speak about it poetically with spark and chemistry and connection. But underneath it, your nervous system is always running a risk assessment. For many people, desire is wired to threat. You want, and immediately something else arrives. Old rejection, old humiliation, moments where you got hurt because you wanted someone or something, or maybe you were ignored or punished or abandoned. In those tender moments of opening up, vulnerability and desire. And your body remembers all of that cost. So you've learned and you've lived long enough to know that wanting always carries a risk. So as we get older, maybe there's a new narrative that starts to feel more like maybe I'm just broken, or maybe this is just age, or, it's not really age. I think it's just accumulated cost. Your body learned wanting is expensive. And let's be honest, without being cruel, let's talk about the biology versus the human truth. Yes, the brain notices youth. That's not vanity, it's old survival wiring. Smooth skin, symmetry, novelty, your animal brain registers those things automatically. But desire, the kind that actually lasts, the kind that sticks to you even years after, is always wired for meaning. We don't fall for people because they're smooth or just good looking. We fall because something in them resonates with that ache within us, because they're present, because they see us in a way that lands, because there is a mutual recognition in that moment. And Eros, even though we attribute it to youth, is not young. It's ancient. It's timeless. And that's a part of us that never wrinkles. But here is where it gets uncomfortable. We've turned desire into social currency. Beauty is social capital. Even if you want to pretend you're above it, even if you want to just look at the beauty on the inside, let's talk about the reality. In youth, desire moves toward you easily, not because you're special, and honestly, projection does half the job. Just fill in the blanks because you got a young, pretty face. It's because you're new. And as you age, that changes. And there are all these conditions that no one wants to talk about because most of the advice you hear around desire assumes that you live in some kind of perfume commercial. Candles, silk sheets, no one has a job, no one has kids, no one is coordinating elder care on WhatsApp, right? I mean, in reality, you're thinking about desire as a to-do list taped to your frontal lobe, but your body has spent years surviving. And it doesn't switch into pleasure mode on command. And no, of course, it doesn't mean that desire is gone, but it does mean it gets buried under the costs of unprocessed life. But as you age, your beauty shifts, maybe becomes more private, quieter, less projected onto. And the world outside of the porn industry does not know how to reward that kind of beauty. So I feel like a lot of us start to feel like attraction should actually kind of surprise us past a certain age. Like we should just be grateful. And we're kind of given two options. One is it's over. I no longer want anyone. It's done. My life is over. I'm no longer youthful and attractive. You've aged out. You're neutral now, non-threatening, grateful for crumbs. Or two, you're sexier than ever, queen. Airbrushed empowerment, Pilates at sunrise. To me, half of the stuff I see trending is just denial disguised as liberation, but okay. Ultimately, both erase reality. Desire in an aging body is neither dead nor magically optimized. It's nuanced. It might be slower, pickier, less about friction, and more about being met. It's not a slogan. It's not a glow up. It's a conversation between biology, your history, your nervous system, and truth as you've come to live it on your own skin. And when you've aged a bit, then you come across the worst compliment ever invented, which is, you look great for your age, which really means you're outperforming the decline we expected. And it's not admiration, that's benchmarking. And you're expected to what? Smile? Because rejecting it makes you insecure, but accepting it makes you complicit. And at a certain point, desire just stops matching the script we're given. Aging doesn't just show up in the mirror. I find the quality of what one wants shifts greatly as well with age. There's a quieter desire we don't name enough, and it's not just wanting sex. There's a desire to be looked at with curiosity and not assessment. To want to be wanted without performing youth. To feel real, not evaluated, to be touched like you're alive and valuable and rich as a person who's lived an entire life, not nostalgic of a size or a weight that you no longer have. This is a desire that doesn't scream, it lingers. And it shows up in the way your body softens around certain people, in the ache when you witness intimacy you haven't felt in years. In the relief of being with someone you don't have to manage yourself around or manage their expectations of how they perceive you. There's a kind of wanting that doesn't age out ever. It deepens. And I feel this is something that we just don't talk about enough. But on the other hand, there is this reality where we have also all our fears that are tied to eros and desire. And when you act from fear, the reality is aging and having experience doesn't protect you from your own immaturity. Whatever you have not developed in yourself, it shows up. You can still overreach. You can still project. You can still feel younger than you truly are in the worst moments where you are touching into wounds of your own self-esteem and your own self-worth around desire. And dignity isn't rebuilt by pretending you didn't care. It's rebuilt by telling the truth. I acted from fear, not from lack of worth, not because I'm broken, but because that moment froze in me maybe when I was 14 years old, and I never moved past it. I never rebuilt through it. And being able to acknowledge that in yourself starts to restore ground. So when desire shows up, I don't immediately ask what it means anymore. I ask where it lives in my body. Who owns this desire story now? My younger self? My culture? Past partners? Who owns it? Me? When you compare yourself to who you used to be careful in how you negotiate with your ghosts. That body is gone. This one is here. And when hope feels dangerous, Remember, hope isn't delusion. Hope is refusing to collapse. And sovereignty doesn't mean getting everything you want or being completely unbothered by every wrinkle and roll that appears that's new. It just means not lying to yourself about what you want to keep everyone else comfortable. So my closing challenge for this week is pick one honest want. Not a performance, not a fantasy. It can be something small. Name it. Then take one action that respects it. Something that you can really connect to your body with. Not to prove you're desirable. You don't have to perform it, but to prove to yourself that your own wanting matters. That wanting is inhabiting your desire. And that's where your own rabid courage shows up in an aging body. Not pretending nothing changed, but continuing to stay alive in what is and what did change. Observe it. Don't act on it if you don't want to. There's no pressure. Don't judge it. Just ask, is this pointing me towards someone outside of myself or back towards myself? And let that answer just be honest, whatever that is. Thank you for staying with me on this one. This wasn't a pep talk about being forever young. It was just a look at what it means to keep wanting in a body that remembers everything. I'm Arya, and this is Rabid Courage. If this stirred something in you, send it to someone who thinks they're past desire or someone whose wanting has gone quiet under responsibility. Join me again next week, and until then, stay real, stay curious, and stay a little wild.